My wife invited the whole family over for my birthday. She said, "Honey, can you go get some extra chairs from the garage?" There, I found my suitcase already packed and a note. "Surprise. We have a new head of the family. You are out. Everyone voted for it. The new locks will be installed at 8 p.m. Through the window, I saw them celebrating. I made a phone call and left. The next morning, a loud noise woke them up. It was my surprise for them. The divorce papers were supposed to arrive the following Tuesday. Instead, I found myself staring at a pale pink envelope on my 38th birthday, surrounded by the 3 people I thought I could trust the most in the world. "Happy birthday, Brian," my mother-in-law Barbara said, her voice dripping with feigned sweetness, as she handed me the envelope, her perfectly manicured fingers, adorned with rings worth more than most people's cars, trembling slightly. "This is from all of us." I looked around the upscale restaurant downtown where Nicole and I had our first date 8 years earlier. The irony was not lost on me. My wife was sitting across from me, her phone perfectly positioned to record my reaction. Her brother Scott was smirking next to her, adjusting his expensive watch as if he were timing something. "What is this?" I asked, although I already knew. The weight of the envelope, the way Nicole avoided my gaze, the nervous energy emanating from Scott, it all made sense. "Open it, honey," Nicole said, her voice barely above a whisper. The pet name sounded strange on her lips. When was the last time she had called me that? 6 months ago, a year ago. I tore open the envelope with deliberate slowness, my hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. Inside were the divorce papers already filled out with sticky notes indicating where I should sign. Someone had even highlighted the sections on the division of assets in yellow. The restaurant was buzzing around us. Laughing couples, celebrating families, waiters rushing between tables with steaming plates. None of them knew they were witnessing an execution. "Well," Scott said, leaning forward, unable to contain his excitement. "What do you think?" I set the papers down carefully, reached into my jacket pocket, and pulled out the fountain pen Nicole had given me for our first anniversary, the one she said represented our future together, smooth, elegant, and built to last. "Thank you," I said, my voice calm as I signed each page with practiced efficiency. This is exactly what I needed. The confusion on their faces was priceless. Nicole's phone almost slipped from her hands. Barbara's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Scott's smug smile faltered. I stood up and left $300 on the table, enough to cover the meal they had ordered to celebrate my humiliation, and put the signed papers back in the pink envelope. "Happy birthday to me," I said, sliding the envelope toward Nicole. "Enjoy your celebration." I walked out with my head held high, leaving behind 3 stunned faces and 8 years of marriage. The valet brought my pickup truck and I tipped him $50 because why not? It was my birthday after all. Driving away, I caught their reflection in the restaurant window. Nicole was waving her hands frantically. Barbara was clutching her chest dramatically and Scott was on the phone, probably calling someone to figure out what had just happened. If only he knew what I had done before dessert arrived. The discovery had happened by accident, like most life-changing moments. I had come home early from the logistics company I had built from nothing over the past 10 years, hoping to surprise Nicole with dinner reservations for my birthday weekend. Instead, I got the surprise of my life. I heard voices coming from the living room, Nicole's laughter and another woman's voice that I recognized as Barbara's. I was about to announce myself when I heard my name. "Brian is such an idiot," Nicole was saying. "He has no idea what is coming." I froze in the hallway, my keys still in my hand. "Take all his assets, Nicole," Barbara replied, her voice full of satisfaction. "The company, the house, the investment accounts, everything. And Victor promises you Paris once this is all over." Victor, Nicole's boss at the marketing agency where she had been working for 3 years. The same Victor who called her at odd hours. The same Victor whose name kept popping up in her text notifications. "I cannot wait to see his face when he gets served the papers," Nicole continued. "Scott is going to film the whole scene. We will have it for the divorce proceedings. Show how he reacted, make him look unstable." "Brilliant," Barbara cooed. "That boy never deserved you anyway. A low-class blue-collar worker with delusions of grandeur. Victor can give you the life you truly deserve." I quietly walked out of the house, my mind racing. A low-class blue-collar worker. 8 years of marriage, and that was what I was to her. I thought of all the family dinners where Barbara had smiled at me, all the times Scott had asked me for business advice, all the nights Nicole had fallen asleep in my arms. It had all been a lie. I went to O'Malley's, a dive bar on the south side of town where my old army buddy, Darius, had been bartending for 5 years. The place smelled of stale beer and broken dreams, which perfectly suited my mood. "You look like a guy whose dog just got run over," Darius said, sliding a whiskey across the scarred wooden bar. "What is eating you?" I told him everything. The conversation I had overheard, the months of Nicole coming home late, the way she had grown distant and cold. Darius listened without interrupting, nodding occasionally or refilling my glass. "So what is the plan?" he asked when I finished. "I do not know yet," I admitted, "but they want to ambush me on my birthday. They want to film my humiliation. All right then, let us give them a show they will never forget." Darius smiled, the same expression he wore before we raided insurgent compounds in the Middle East. "I am listening. First, I need to know everything. Who is this Victor? How long has this been going on? What exactly is he planning?" "I know a guy," Darius said, "a private investigator who owes me a favor. Give me 24 hours. The next morning, Darius called me with information that sent shivers down my spine and solidified my resolve. Victor Langford, married with 2 children, a senior partner at Langford and Associates Marketing. He had been involved in an inappropriate relationship with Nicole for 8 months. They had gone on weekend getaways and had even booked a trip to Paris for the week after my birthday with reservations at an exclusive resort. But the real kicker was that Victor was already married to a high-profile divorce attorney named Alexandra Langford. The same Alexandra Langford who had made headlines last year for taking a cheating tech executive to the cleaners in what the papers called the divorce of the decade. "There is more," Darius said. "Your mother-in-law has been feeding them information about your company. Bank statements, investment accounts, property deeds. She photographed everything when she came to visit. How is that possible? It turns out Scott works for a private investigation agency, not a very good one, but they know how to dig up financial dirt. They have been building a case against you for months." I felt something cold and hard settle in my chest. They had not just planned to divorce me. They had planned to destroy me. "What do you want to do?" Darius asked. "I want to disappear," I said, legally, financially, completely. "And then, I want to watch their world burn." I spent the next 36 hours restructuring my entire life. The beauty of owning a logistics company is that you know how to move things quickly and efficiently, including assets. My lawyer, Rebecca Sullivan, had handled the incorporation of my company 5 years earlier. She was sharp, discreet, and had zero sympathy for cheating spouses after her own messy divorce. "You want to do what?" she asked, raising an eyebrow as I sat in her office at 7 in the morning. "Transfer the controlling interest of the company to a trust with my niece as the primary beneficiary," I said. "She is 25, has an MBA, and has been working in the company for 2 years. Nicole has never met her. She does not even know she exists." "That is actually brilliant," Rebecca admitted. "And for your other assets?" "The investment accounts move offshore legally. The house goes into the trust too. I want to be worth exactly what I had when Nicole and I got married. About $50,000 and a 10-year-old pickup truck. That is going to cost you less than a divorce," Rebecca smiled. "I like how you think. Give me 24 hours. While Rebecca worked her magic, I made other preparations. I installed security cameras around the house, hidden ones that Nicole would never notice. I copied all the files from her laptop, all the text messages from her phone, all the emails from her accounts. The woman who had called me a low-class blue-collar worker had made the classic mistake of assuming I was too stupid to understand technology. I also paid a visit to Victor Langford's office. Langford and Associates occupied the top 3 floors of a glass tower downtown with a view of the river and probably cost more to furnish than most people made in a year. I dressed for the part. Khaki pants, a polo shirt, work boots, the uniform of someone there to fix something. "I am here for the air conditioning," I told his secretary, showing her a fake work order that Darius had printed. "The boss says there have been complaints about the temperature in Mr. Langford's office." She waved me in without a second glance. Victor was on a conference call, his back to the door as he gestured toward the view out the window. He was exactly what I expected, soft around the middle, expensive suit, the kind of guy who had never worked with his hands a day in his life. I pretended to check the air vents while listening to his conversation. He was talking about a client presentation, his voice full of the confidence that comes from never having to worry about real consequences. When he finished his call and turned around, I was standing by his desk. "Who are you?" he asked, surprised. "Brian Thompson," I said, watching the color drain from his face, Nicole's husband. He opened his mouth to call security, but I held up a hand. "Relax, Victor. I am not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to meet the man who is involved in an inappropriate relationship with my wife." "I do not know what you are talking about," he stammered. "Of course you do not." I picked up a framed photo on his desk of him with his wife and kids at a tropical resort. "Beautiful family. Does Alexandra know about your plans for Paris?" The color completely left his face. "Here is what is going to happen," I continued, my voice conversational. "You are going to continue your relationship with Nicole. You are going to take that trip to Paris. You are going to do exactly what you had planned. But understand this. I know everything. Every getaway, every lie, every message. And when the time comes, I am going to use all of it." "Are you threatening me?" "I am educating you," I said. "You see, you think you are playing chess, but you do not even know what game I am playing. Enjoy Paris, Victor. I hear it is beautiful this time of year." I left him there, probably wondering if he should call the police, Nicole, or his lawyer. It did not matter. The seed was planted, and doubt is a powerful thing. That evening, I came home to find Nicole cooking dinner, something she had not done in months. She was humming, actually humming, as she moved around the kitchen. "You seem in a good mood," I observed. "Just happy," she said, kissing me on the cheek. "Work is going really well lately." "I bet it is," I thought. "By the way," she continued, "I was thinking we could go to that place for your birthday. You know, where we had our first date. It would be nice to have the family there. Mom and Scott want to celebrate with us." "That sounds perfect," I said. "I cannot wait." The morning after my birthday dinner, I woke up with 10 missed calls and 43 text messages. Nicole was already gone, probably trying to figure out what had gone wrong with their perfect plan. The messages were a mix of panic, anger, and confusion. "Nicole, we need to talk right now." "Scott, what was that?" "Call me." "Barbara, Brian, this is unacceptable. You cannot just sign the papers and leave like that." "Nicole again, you are acting childish. We can fix this." And then around 3 in the morning, "I know you are getting these messages. Stop ignoring me." I deleted all of them and went to work. My logistics company, Thompson Distribution, operated out of a warehouse complex on the industrial side of town. 47 employees, contracts with major Midwestern retailers, and a reputation for delivering things on time and intact. My assistant Lisa looked surprised when I arrived early. "You are early for a birthday, boy," she said. "How was dinner last night?" "Enlightening," I replied. "Is my niece here yet?" "Emily?" "Yes, she is in her office reviewing the quarterly reports." Emily Thompson was my brother's daughter. Though most people assumed she was just an employee, she had her father's analytical mind and her mother's ruthless efficiency. I had been grooming her to take over the company for 2 years, although I had never told her why. "Uncle Brian," she said when I knocked on her office door. "Happy belated birthday. How was the family dinner?" "Memorable," I said, closing the door behind me. "We need to talk." I explained everything to her. The divorce, the transfer of assets, her new role as the majority owner of the company. Emily listened without interrupting, her expression growing more serious with every detail. "So Nicole never knew about me?" she finally asked. "I kept my family separate from hers," I admitted. "Your aunt always thought my side of the family was below her standards. And now I own 60% of a multi-million-dollar logistics company." "Now you own 60% of a multi-million-dollar logistics company," I confirmed. "Do you think you can handle that?" Emily smiled, the same predatory expression I had seen on her face when she negotiated our last big contract. "What do you need me to do?" "For now, nothing. Run the company like you have been doing. But if Nicole or anyone from her family shows up here, you only know me as an employee. And when they discover the asset transfers, that is when things will get interesting." Around noon, Nicole showed up at the warehouse. I watched through the security cameras as she walked across the loading dock in her designer heels and business suit, looking completely out of place among the forklifts and shipping containers. "I need to speak to Brian Thompson," she told Lisa, her voice sharp with authority. "He is in a meeting," Lisa replied calmly. "Can I take a message?" "I am his wife. Go get him right now." I will see if he is available. Lisa buzzed my office and I told her to send Nicole in. I wanted this conversation to happen where I had total control. Nicole stormed into my office like a hurricane, her face red with anger. What the hell do you think you are doing? She demanded. Working, I said without looking up from my computer. You know, that thing I do to pay for your lifestyle. Do not play games with me, Brian. You signed those papers, but you cannot just disappear. We have assets to divide, arrangements to make. What assets? I asked innocently. The house, the business, your investment accounts? What about them? Nicole stared at me as if I had a second head. They have to be divided according to the divorce agreement. I read the papers, I said. You get half of everything I own when we got married. Congratulations, you are now entitled to $25,000 and half of a 10-year-old pickup truck. That is not what. She stopped, her face turning pale. What did you do? I adapted, I said. You see, when someone spends 8 months planning to destroy your life, you have two choices. You can be a victim, or you can outsmart them. Nicole's hands were shaking now. The house belongs to a family trust. Your business? I am just an employee now. The investment accounts? What investment accounts? She collapsed into the chair across from my desk, the reality finally hitting her. You cannot do this, she whispered. I already did, I said. But do not worry. You and Victor will have a wonderful time in Paris. I hear the weather is perfect this time of year. The mention of Victor's name hit her like a physical blow. How did you know about the relationship? Nicole, I have known for months. The late nights, the secret phone calls, the way you started caring about your appearance again. Did you really think I was that stupid? Tears began to stream down her face, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no regret, no love, just cold satisfaction. We can fix this, she said desperately. I will end things with Victor. We can go to couples therapy, work things out. No, I said simply, we cannot. You made your choice 8 months ago. You just did not expect me to make mine. Brian, please, the papers are signed. Nicole, you got exactly what you asked for. Now get out of my office. She left sobbing, her carefully planned ambush having failed spectacularly. Through the security cameras, I watched her sit in her car for 20 minutes, probably calling Victor, probably her mother, probably trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong. But I was not done, not by a long shot. Over the following week, I watched Nicole's world begin to crumble with the same detached interest I had once reserved for tracking shipments across the country. The first crack appeared when she tried to access our joint savings account and discovered it had been closed. Then she learned that the house was no longer in our names. Then her credit cards, the ones linked to my accounts, were declined at her favorite boutique. Darius kept me updated on her movements through his network of bartenders, waiters, and other service industry workers who form the invisible intelligence network of any city. She has been to Langford's office every day this week, he reported over a drink at O'Malley's. My guy at the coffee shop across the street says she looks awful. Victor is not taking her calls anymore. Smart. He knows his wife could destroy him in a divorce. Speaking of which, Alexandra Langford has started asking questions about her husband's travel plans. I smiled. Oh, really? Word on the street is she hired a private investigator last month. Apparently, Victor is not as careful as he thinks he is. The second crack came when Scott showed up at the warehouse, demanding to speak to me. Unlike Nicole's emotional approach, Scott tried intimidation. You think you were smart? He said, pacing around my office like a caged animal. But we know what you did. Moving assets, hiding money, that is fraud. Really? I asked, because my lawyer says it is smart financial planning. We will see what a judge has to say about that. By all means, take me to court, I said. I am sure a judge will be very interested to hear how you and your family conspired to ambush me with divorce papers on my birthday. How you planned to film my reaction to yous in legal proceedings. How your mother committed identity theft to access my financial information. Scott's face turned pale. We never. I have recordings, Scott. Video, audio, documentation of everything. You want to play in court? Let us play. He left without another word. The third crack was the biggest. Alexandra Langford filed for divorce from Victor, citing adultery and demanding an emergency injunction to freeze all his assets. The local business journal published the story on the front page with photos of Victor and Nicole leaving a downtown hotel. Nicole called me that night, hysterical. They fired me, she sobbed over the phone. The company fired me. They said I was a liability. I am sorry to hear that, I said, although I was not sorry at all. Victor will not answer my calls anymore. His wife is threatening to sue me for alienation of affection. Brian, I need help. You need a lawyer, I said, a good one. They are expensive, though. I do not have any money for a lawyer. You took everything. I took what was mine, I corrected. You wanted a divorce, Nicole? This is what a divorce looks like. I made a mistake, she whispered. I know that now. Can we not? I hung up on her. But Nicole's family was not ready to give up. Barbara had spent 60 years getting what she wanted through manipulation, guilt, and social pressure. She was not going to let her daughter's meal ticket disappear without a fight. She showed up at my apartment, the modest two-bedroom place I had rented after leaving the house, wearing her finest jewelry and carrying herself like visiting royalty. Brian, she said when I opened the door, we need to talk. No, we do not, I replied, starting to close the door. She stuck her foot in the jamb, her face twisted with desperation disguised as indignation. You cannot treat my daughter like this. Nicole made a mistake. But this is family. Family forgives. Was I family when you called me a low-class blue-collar worker? I asked. Was I family when you helped plan my humiliation? I never said. I have recordings, Barbara. Every word. She stepped back, her composure cracking. What do you want? She finally asked. I want you to leave me alone, I said. All of you. Nicole wanted a divorce. She got it. You wanted me out of your family. I am out. Congratulations, you won. But Nicole needs to learn that actions have consequences, I said, something you should have taught her 36 years ago. I shut the door in her face and listened to her pound on it for 5 minutes before giving up. 2 weeks after my birthday dinner, I got a call from Darius. You need to get down here, he said right away. I found him at O'Malley's with a black eye and a split lip, cleaning glasses behind the bar as if nothing had happened. What the hell happened to you? I asked. Your brother-in-law and 2 of his buddies decided to pay me a visit, Darius said. He wanted info on you. Where you live, where you work, what your plans are. Rage washed over me, hot and immediate. Are you okay? I have had worse, he said, but they made a mistake. What kind of mistake? Darius smiled, wincing as the expression pulled on his split lip. He did not know about the security cameras, or that I still have friends from the army around these days, or that assault is a crime. Did you call the cops? I called someone better, he said. Remember Phillips from our unit? He is a detective now. Scott and his buddies are going to have a very interesting conversation with him tomorrow morning. But that was not enough for me. Scott had crossed a line by involving Darius, and I was done playing defense. I spent the next day tracking down Scott's friends, the 2 guys who had helped him assault my best friend. It was not hard. Scott was not smart enough to hire professionals. They were just thugs he knew from a bar where he drank. I found them that evening in a pool hall on the north side, celebrating their easy payday with cheap beer and even cheaper whiskey. Did you boys have fun last night? I asked, sitting on a bar stool next to them. The bigger one, a guy with prison tattoos and missing teeth, looked me up and down. Do I know you? He asked. I am the guy whose friend you assaulted, I said calmly. Both men tensed, ready for a fight. What they did not expect was the envelope I placed on the bar between us. What is that? The smaller one asked. Photos, I said. From the security cameras at O'Malley's. Clear shots of your faces, the incident, everything. There is also a copy of the police report my friend filed this morning. They exchanged glances, suddenly less confident. Here is what is going to happen, I continued. You are going to call Scott and tell him the deal is off. You are going to disappear completely from this situation. And if I ever see you near my friend again, these photos will go to every police precinct in the city with your names and addresses. You cannot prove anything, the big guy said, but his voice lacked conviction. Cannot I? I pulled out my phone and showed them a crystal clear video of them walking into O'Malley's right behind Scott and walking out 10 minutes later while Scott was counting cash. Technology is amazing these days. They left without finishing their drinks. But Scott himself was a different problem. He was family, which meant Nicole and Barbara would protect him no matter what he did. He was also stupid enough to escalate things if I did not handle him right. I did not have to wait long for the opportunity. Scott showed up at my apartment building 2 nights later, drunk and belligerent, screaming in the parking lot about what he was going to do to me. I let him rant for 5 minutes, giving him enough rope to hang himself while I recorded everything from my balcony. Then I went downstairs. Are you done? I asked. Scott spun around, swaying slightly. You think you are so smart? He slurred. But I know things about you. I know where you work, where you live. I know how to hurt you. Like you hurt Darius? That was just a warning, Scott said. Next time. He threw a punch, a wild, drunken swing that I saw coming from a mile away. I dodged it easily, letting his momentum carry him past me. He stumbled, caught himself against a car, and turned around with a murderous glare. You want to do this right here? I asked. In front of all these cameras, with all these witnesses? Scott looked around, suddenly aware that several neighbors had come outside to watch the show. His arrogance deflated a bit. This is not over, he said. Yes, it is, I replied. Because if you threaten me or my friends again, I will have you arrested for assault, harassment, and whatever else I can think of. And then I will sue you for everything you are worth, which, let us face it, is not much. Scott left, but I knew he would be back. Men like him always come back. I was right. 3 days later, Scott showed up at my work with Nicole and Barbara in tow. They had clearly planned this as their final assault, a coordinated attack designed to corner me and force me to negotiate. They walked past the loading dock because I let them. I wanted this confrontation to happen on my turf, with my people watching, recorded by my cameras. Brian, Nicole called out as they approached my office. We need to talk. I stepped out to meet them in the main warehouse, surrounded by my employees, with Emily watching from the office above. What can I do for you? I asked politely. You can stop this childish behavior, Barbara snapped. Nicole is your wife. You have responsibilities. Nicole is my former wife, I corrected, for 2 weeks now. And my only responsibility is to myself. We know about your little shell game, Scott said. Moving assets, hiding money. That is illegal. Really? Because the IRS seems to think everything I did was perfectly legal. Just like my lawyer does, just like the banks do. You cannot just walk away after 8 years of marriage, Nicole said, her voice breaking. We built a life together. No, I said. I built a life. You lived in it while planning to destroy it. There is a difference. The warehouse had gone quiet around us. 47 employees had stopped what they were doing to watch the drama unfold. I could see some of them recording with their phones. Brian, Nicole tried again. I know I made mistakes. You made choices, I interrupted. You chose to have an inappropriate relationship. You chose to plan an ambush divorce. You chose to call me a low-class blue-collar worker. You chose to try and take everything I worked for. Those were not mistakes, Nicole, they were decisions. So what happens now? She asked desperately. Now, you live with the consequences of your choices, I said. Just like I live with mine. This is not over, Scott said, stepping forward aggressively. Yes, it is, I replied. Because if any of you ever contact me again, if you show up at my work again, if you threaten my friends again, I will make your lives very difficult. How? Barbara demanded. I smiled, an expression cold enough to make her step back. I am a logistics expert, Barbara. I know how to move things. Information, money, people. I know how to track shipments across the country. How to coordinate complex operations. How to make sure things end up exactly where they need to be. Do you really want to find out what I can do when I set my mind to it? They left without another word. But I could see in their eyes that it was not over. They would regroup, make new plans, find new ways to attack me. I was counting on it. The end came 3 weeks later, but not the way any of us had expected. I was at O'Malley's with Darius, celebrating his recovery from the altercation Scott's friends had given him, when Alexandra Langford walked in. Victor's soon-to-be former wife was everything Nicole was not, confident, self-assured, and absolutely ruthless. Mr. Thompson, she said as she approached our table. I am Alexandra Langford. I believe we have mutual interests to discuss. Darius raised an eyebrow, but said nothing as Alexandra sat down. I know about your situation with your former wife and my husband, she continued. I also know about their little getaway to Paris scheduled for next week. Congratulations on your divorce, I said carefully. Alexandra smiled, an expression as sharp as a blade. Thank you. Victor is going to lose everything. Of course, the house, the firm, custody of the kids. I am very good at what I do. I am sure you are. But I have a proposal for you, she said, something that could benefit us both. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside were photographs, bank statements, hotel receipts, and a detailed timeline of Victor and Nicole's involvement. I have been documenting my husband's infidelity for months, Alexandra explained. I have enough evidence to destroy him in court, but I want more than just a favorable divorce settlement. What do you want? I want him to suffer, she said simply. I want him to understand what it feels like to lose everything he has worked for. And I think you want the same thing for your former wife. She was right, of course, but I was curious about her angle. What are you proposing? Victor and Nicole leave for Paris tomorrow night, Alexandra said. They think they are finally free to be together, to start their new life. What they do not know is that I have already contacted the French authorities about Victor's tax evasion. He has been hiding assets in offshore accounts for years. That is between you and him, I said. True. But what if Nicole was involved too? What if it looked like she had helped him move money illegally? What if she were detained by French customs when they try to return to the United States? The implications were staggering. Nicole could face international fraud charges, extradition proceedings, years of legal battles she could not afford. That seems excessive, I said, although a part of me was intrigued. Really? Alexandra asked. Your former wife destroyed your marriage for money. She conspired with my husband to defraud you in a divorce settlement. She participated in moving assets to hidden accounts. From my perspective, she is just as guilty as he is. Darius leaned forward. What exactly are you asking Brian to do? Nothing illegal, Alexandra said. I just need information. Nicole's passport number, her travel itinerary, her phone records, things that would help the authorities build their case. I do not have access to that information, I lied. Alexandra smiled. Of course not. But if you did, and if you shared it with the proper authorities, Nicole could find herself in a very difficult situation, one that would make your little asset protection scheme look like child's play. She stood up, leaving the envelope on the table. Think about it, Mr. Thompson. But do not think too long. They leave tomorrow night. After she left, Darius and I sat in silence for several minutes. That woman is terrifying, he finally said. She is also right, I admitted. Nicole participated in Victor's schemes. She tried to defraud me. She chose to destroy our marriage for money. So what are you going to do? I thought of Nicole's face when she had handed me the divorce papers, the satisfaction in her voice when she had called me a low-class blue-collar worker, the months of lies and deceit that had led to this moment. I am going to give Alexandra Langford exactly what she wants, I said. The following evening, I was sitting in my apartment with a glass of whiskey and my laptop, watching the flight tracker on my screen. The flight to the main airport in Paris had just taken off, carrying Nicole and Victor toward what they thought was their fresh start. What they did not know was that French customs officers would be waiting for them with arrest warrants, extradition requests, and evidence of international money laundering that would keep them tied up in legal proceedings for years. What they also did not know was that Alexandra Langford had manipulated all of us. My phone rang around midnight. It was Emily calling from the warehouse. Uncle Brian, she said, her voice tight with worry, we have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where the FBI just showed up with a warrant to search our financial records. I felt the bottom drop out of my stomach. What are they looking for? Evidence of money laundering, asset concealment, and conspiracy to commit fraud, Emily said. They have documents showing that our company was used to move money for Victor Langford's offshore accounts. The pieces fell together with sickening clarity. Alexandra Langford had not just wanted revenge on her husband and Nicole. She had wanted a scapegoat for Victor's crimes. Someone to take the fall while she walked away clean. She had played me perfectly. Uncle Brian. Emily's voice was small and scared. What do we do? I looked out my apartment window at the city lights, thinking of Nicole and Victor sitting in a French jail cell, probably blaming each other for their predicament. Thinking of Scott and Barbara, who would soon discover that their daughter was facing international criminal charges. Thinking of my company, my employees, my carefully constructed new life. Alexandra Langford had given me exactly what I wanted, the complete destruction of everyone who had betrayed me. She just forgot to mention that I would be destroyed right along with them. Uncle Brian, we call our lawyer, I said, preparing for war. But as I hung up the phone, I caught myself smiling. Nicole wanted to see what I looked like when I was truly angry, when I had nothing left to lose. She was about to find out. Comment. Hey guys, this story really stayed with me. I want you to remember that protecting your self-respect is always worth it. When people cross your boundaries, it's okay to step back and choose yourself first. Real strength comes from taking responsibility for your own peace instead of hoping others will change. Kindness is important, but never at the expense of your dignity. Healing begins the moment you decide you deserve better. Choosing calm over constant drama is one of the wisest things you can do. Take some time to think about the relationships in your life and what you truly deserve. You are stronger than you know, and you deserve genuine respect and love. Let's all try to move through life with more integrity and courage. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.